Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, tankers of all ages, Sir Harry here again with another episode of Fast Tracks, a quick battle in a tank I really like, with a result that turns out to be okay in spite of myself. And in this case, the result I get is entirely due to this tank. It's the IS-3A. It's a Russian Tier 8 premium heavy tank, and it is absolutely amazing. It's very similar to its non-premium counterpart, the IS-3, but of course, because it's a premium tank, you get extra credits and you get extra crew training. You can put any Russian heavy crew in this and get them some training, get their experience up, except for the loaders, because this has an auto-loader, so you cannot train your Russian loaders. A lot of players, when they first start the game, will make the plunge and decide to invest in a Tier 8 premium tank. I would recommend maybe you think about getting something at a lower tier. If you buy a Tier 8 as a new player, you're thrust into Tier 8, 9, and 10 games against very experienced players, and that's going to make learning the game a little more frustrating, right? You won't be able to contribute as much as you're trying to figure out how to play, and the experience won't be as enjoyable. So there's lots of great Tier 4, 5, and 6 premium tanks in the gift shop. If you're new to the game, maybe consider picking up one of those and learning the game in a great premium tank where you can get extra credits and crew training, but against players that are more of the experience level that you'll be able to compete with. So we head up the east side of Serene Coast. I'm playing with Mr. Crazy Box there in the T-34. He's a clanmate of mine from the HAFR clan. And we split up there, and that's really important. When you're playing the platoon, you can coordinate your movements. By splitting up and coordinating our fire, we force enemy tanks we come up against to pick one of us or the other to focus their attention on. And so he can point his turret at one of us, but that gives the other one of us a side shot. That two-directional fire is really important. It's a great tactic in platoons. An enemy Firefly who had no business being on this side of the map gets vaporized pretty quickly. He pushed out way too far and got surrounded. And now an enemy Oni comes around the corner. Big beast of a Japanese heavy tank. I get a tracking shot into him, and I don't know what I'm thinking here because I stay at exactly the right range to allow him to get his gun down and get shots at me. I wind up taking 2 penetrating hits from him, and my fuel tank gets damaged, which will come into play later in the game, as you'll see. So I keep him tracked. I get a couple of damaging shots as I'm tracking him, but again, you can see he's shooting at me, and I'm taking, there we go, there's the hit in the fuel tank. But Mr. Crazy and a Tiger P from our team and a couple of TDs in the back are getting hits at him because he is exposed because I've kept him tracked there. It's another really important technique, is to wait for enemies to come around the corner, track them, and help burn them down with your team. We saw that in my Panzer III-4 review video. We did that to an enemy Churchill and took all his hit points. So the SU-100Y way in the back manages to finish off the Oni. I come around the corner to get a shot at the KV-3 and absolutely fluff the shot into the rock. I didn't want to expose my side too much, as I just said. You don't want to get tracked, but I certainly could have pulled out a little more and actually maybe done some damage. So I come out now, his gun's not pointing at me, so I take my time, I aim, get a big beefy shot into him, and then he gets finished off pretty quickly. So Tier 7 Russian heavy tank, once the Oni was dead, was kind of out on his own. And there's a Tiger P, the German Tier 7 heavy tank, who's now decided that he probably doesn't want to be there anymore. He gets a big shot put into him as he's running away. Mr. Crazy hits him there, and then I come up, auto aim, and get the final penetrating shot on him to take him out. Not many hit points of damage, but it kills the kill. You can see there's an enemy Egg Panther in the back there, and that's a typical TD location on this map. He backs off between shots to reload, trying to limit his exposure, which is a smart play. But with 3 of us bearing down on him, he probably should have decided to take off and head back towards the safety of his base. I hit him, the Tiger P finishes him off. So this flank is pretty much clear now. We've got a lot of tanks here still, but you can see in the west things are not going particularly well. Their Tiger 2 has shown up on that side of the map. He's not a very experienced player, and he didn't come down this side to help out against us. If he'd been on this flank, that would have been a bit more challenging of a battle, because he could have maybe gone hull down somewhere and forced us to try to charge him and flank him or something like that. So we head back up. Mr. Crazy and I talk about this. A lot of inexperienced players would have headed back down to the enemy base and tried to cap it out. Our KV-2 and Tiger P do that. But you know, that's a risky move, and you have to get a lot of tanks on cap, and you have to be able to cap pretty quickly and avoid getting reset by any enemies that do remain down around their cap circle. So Mr. Crazy takes the direct route. He heads out over the bridge right through town. I take the longer way around. It is a bit slower. It takes me longer to get into the fight, but again, we have this situation set up now where we'll be able to bring fire from 2 directions to bear on the enemy. So the enemy is very quickly taking care of our team there. Our Panther, our KV-85, our SU-152 are all dead. Our T-26E4 there, the Super Pershing, does manage to take out the enemy FCM-50T. That's great. That's a really strong player and a capable tank out of the game. And really, that was probably the turning point of this battle, that Super Persh actually taking out that FCM. If that FCM had still been alive, he probably would have redeployed somewhere, got flank shots on us, and we could have been in a lot of trouble. Because as it is, we get through this battle with not a lot of hit points left, and you'll see what happens here at the end. So I'm heading back there. Mr. Crazy's using the amazing gun depression of the T-34 there. He's coming up to the railway embankment, and he's just going to stick his turret over the top there. The T-34 has unbelievable frontal turret armor, and really the only way to pen it is to get a lucky shot at its commander's cupola. He's keeping his hull hidden. You can see there it has a pretty weak hull. So he's watching the west. I decide to head down south, down the middle here, because the Panther's been spotted. Plus the enemy has a heavy tank number 6 and an Achilles down there. They took down our Tiger P and our KV-2 who were trying to cap earlier. They're all lower tier tanks, but they all have very punchy guns, and Mr. Crazy's flank is exposed to them, so even in a T-34 he could get taken out quickly by those 3 shooting at him at the same time. The Panther sticks his nose out. I fluff a shot. Of course, I'm in a Russian heavy and I'm never going to hit anything on the move, so I engage auto aim so I can focus on my driving. We exchange shots as I come around the rock. We put a shot into each other there, and his alpha's so low I'm not too worried about it. I get a one shot into him, he bounces off me, and I just have to wait for the reload, and I take out the Panther. Now, a better player probably would have kept going south to keep their frontal armor towards the 2 threats down there. I decide to go north to try to help Mr. Crazy in his duel with the Panther 88, and the heavy tank number 6 pops out, puts a shot into my engine deck, sets me on fire, and I have to burn my extinguisher. Of course, my fuel tank was damaged back when I was battling the Oni, and the heavy tank number 6 managed to set me alight. The Achilles gets a shot at me, he bounces, I get a big shot into him, take away most of his remaining health, and now I get my frontal armor towards the threats in the south. But now with Mr. Crazy finally being killed by the Panther 88, I've got my back towards him so he can start shooting at me, and there you go. He gets me just as I ammo rack the heavy tank number 6. I thought the Achilles, because he was a pretty good player, would have backed off and tried to get shots at range. He has a view range advantage over me and might be able to do some damage at me, maybe if he fired some premium rounds. But he came up, he tried to hide behind that rock and stuck his nose out, and I took him out. So now it's just mano a mano, me and the Panther 88, and that's the tier 8 German premium medium tank. It's got a pretty punchy gun, actually. You can do 203 pen with regular rounds and 237 with premium. I am angled upwards ever so slightly, so my effective armor and the pike nose in the front's a little better, but you'll see as I come around, I try to maintain as straight an attitude towards him as possible, because as soon as you start to twist this pike nose off to the side, one side or the other, you make the closer side of the enemy weaker. I don't know how that shot landed. I managed to get that into him there after missing one earlier. Of course, Russian tanks, again, you have to, especially heavies, you have to aim. So now he's not feeling so confident anymore. I managed to spot him again. He bounces me one more time, and I get a really lucky shot to take away his last remaining hit points. So let's look at the battle results. Ace tanker, I was really happy. I hadn't had the IS-3A that long when we had this battle, and it's my first ace in this tank. I only have the one so far. Lots of medals. Demolition expert for the ammo rack on the heavy tank 6. Spartan and steel wall for bouncing all kinds of shots from all kinds of tanks. High caliber for all the damage, and the top gun for 6 kills. So really happy with that result. 1445 base XP, 4,285 damage. I tried to keep the gun singing as much as I could, and there was a period in the middle there where I was redeploying west. I couldn't shoot at anything, but other than that, I tried to keep it going pretty much throughout the battle. I hit 15 of my 18 shots with 14 pen, and I made a 75,000 credit profit because this is a premium tank, and that's what they're good at. So that's the IS-3A. Thanks so much for watching. Consider hitting like, and maybe hit subscribe, and let me know what you'd like to see. This is Sir Harry. Thanks for watching. Cheers.